Welcome to Fitness Freedom, helping you break through your personal prison in your body and mind. Hosted by Mike Mahoney. Mike owns fitnessexpose.com and is a fitness industry evangelist, teaching others what to watch out for and steering them in the direction of the reputable few. He is a certified personal trainer with a passion for helping other people reach their goals. If you're tired of not getting the results you want and are looking to be inspired, look no further. Fitness Freedom will inspire and motivate you to achieve your goals. Let's get started.
All right, well, with me today is Collin DuCharme, and he's been training for the last 10 years, and he's currently coaching a nationally ranked powerlifter, and he's working on recovering from a near-fatal car crash. So how are you doing today, Collin?
Good. Just going on like usual, I guess.
Well, what is usual anyway? What kind of things do you normally do?
As of late, pretty much wake up, hobble out of bed like I'm 90, do a little bit of cardio just to get the blood pumping, and go into physical therapy, do everything I need to do to try to keep moving forward.
And how is that going for you?
Like most things, it's got its good days, it's got its bad days. Sometimes I get a little too excited, do a little too much, and it puts me back a couple steps, and then rest, recover, learn my lesson, and mess up later on down the road.
Right. So you say you started training when you were 16 years old. What got you hooked on it so early?
Honestly, it was, I don't want to say it was a mistake, but it was just kind of a fluke. I was in a JROTC program in high school and got put in charge of about 30 kids. And I've always been one of those, lead from the front. I'm not a do as I say, not as I do kind of person. I'd rather be at the front, having people follow me. And we had a physical fitness assessment that we had to do twice a year, and I wanted everyone to pass, but I myself couldn't pass the run. So started, with real basic body weight push-ups, sit-ups, running, pull-ups, things like that. Of course, I've always been someone who likes to read and learn. So I started looking up the best way to, get better at push-ups. I could do about 5 before I couldn't do any more, and realized how much knowledge was out there. From there, it just kind of moved on. I wanted to join the military, and realized I needed to improve my fitness more, and that kind of pushed that farther. Picked up a job at a supplement shop and realized I knew nothing about supplements, so started learning about that. And when I realized just how much there was to learn, and how much it changed on a daily basis, it kind of, it hooked me. I love learning new things, and the fitness industry is something that really doesn't go stale. It's, you take a couple days off, you come back, and you're like, oh wow, that's changed now. That's not the
right.
That's not the paramount of training anymore. That's not the nutritional advice anymore. It's the day-to-day thing.
Well, I know you're the kind of person that likes to learn. So, like 10 years ago, I know it wasn't as easy to find information as now. Where did you go to get your information?
Internet, honestly. It was a little harder than it was now. There's a lot more knowledge online. There's a lot more forums online. Back when I started, a lot of the forums I use now were either, very well hidden, or, you could only find them if you knew people. They really didn't come to the public eye for a long time, which, that made it a little harder to learn some of the more, I guess, advanced things. But aside from that, bodybuilding.com was, I think, the first search thing that popped up. And I read that
right.
Every day, read something new. And then I realized, oh, hey, these two ideas go against each other. So, it made me branch out to other websites and things just to see, this website has conflicting opinions from two different writers. What does the rest of the world have to say about it? I realized, oh, there's 20 opinions on this, 30 opinions, 40
right.
opinions. There's always a new opinion to read. So you can't really get bored with it because there's always something slightly different.
Well, what do you think? What do you think's the biggest thing you've learned about nutrition in the last 10 years? Like the most important thing that you might take with you into the future, even.
It's actually kind of funny because I've messed around with a lot. I've tried, Atkins, keto. I've tried everything. The traditional bodybuilding, just eat meat only type and no carbs, no fats, and yada yada. And I realized, and this was kind of just looking back on my childhood, not really even like notes or anything, journals or anything like that. It was just, I grew up, I'm part Japanese. I grew up every day. My dad would make a pot of rice, and every day I had rice. And I learned, for me, the way I grew up, the way I ate when I grew up, that is something that my body handles the best. So while you have all these trainers that they preach brown rice, brown rice, brown rice, yams, 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 I can't eat those. They just sit in my stomach. They make me feel full. They make me bloated. I feel miserable. I can literally eat an kilogram of rice and still lose weight, like just straight up long grain white rice. And I can diet on that. Most people look at me like I'm crazy, but my body, that's what I was used to growing up with. That's what my body kind of learned to, utilize as an energy source. And I tell a lot of people, look back at what you grew up on, look back at what you normally would eat or what you ate when your body was developing. And it seems to, give them the best results. They grew up eating potatoes. They find potatoes tend to agree the best with them and allow them to, function better versus someone who grew up eating oatmeal for breakfast and they're like, oh, I love oatmeal. I feel great on oatmeal. It helps me, when I'm trying to diet or when I'm trying to bulk. So, I mean, the best thing I ever learned was just listen to your body. I mean, everyone will tell you something, but until you realize what works for you, until you realize what you handle best, you're not going to really make those results that you want to make.
Yeah, it makes sense. Too many people get sucked in by all the misinformation, and they think that there's the one best way, when really there might be the one best way for them individually, but the person sitting next to them, it's not going to work for them, and what works for the person sitting next to them isn't going to work for them. And that's definitely an important thing to learn because, it's your body that you're working with, not someone else's body. So that's really key.
Exactly. And there was a thing I had read. I was looking at diabetes and things like that, and I don't quite remember the source, but there was a study done, and it showed a lot of people of Native American descent from like Southwest America. They ate a very, very high fiber diet. I mean, we're talking 200 plus grams because they're eating a lot of cactus and things like that. And they have an incredibly high instance of diabetes because their genetics, they weren't used to eating, refined sugar or carbohydrates. It was basically all fiber. So telling these people, oh, you want to bulk on sweet potatoes and yams and this and that, their bodies are predispositioned not to handle carbohydrates. So for them, doing something closer to keto would be better overall for their health than, the traditional 6 meals of brown rice and oatmeal and sweet potatoes and so on and so forth. But, it's all subjective. You might find the 1 out of 100 that grows like a weed on that, and other people develop, health issues off of it.
So it sounds like your advice is to find out what works for you and then be consistent and stick to that.
Exactly. Look. Easiest way is just kind of look at what you grew up with. I mean, obviously, if you grew up at McDonald's, you're probably going to be in for a really rough time. But if you grew up eating a specific food group, you grew up eating meat and potatoes. A lot of my relatives, they're country. They're Oklahoma, Midwest, and that's what they grew up on, and that's what they feel best at. That's what they maintain healthy body weight, fat, and doctors are like, how are you eating steak and potatoes every day? And they grew up on it, and they're the healthiest on that versus chicken and salad every day.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense, especially since we know that the body adapts to pretty much everything you do. It sounds to me like, you're absolutely right. They found out that you, because of what you eat when you're growing up, you kind of adapt to that. Even using your example of someone who grew up in McDonald's, I think while they're probably going to be a bit more overweight, I think they also actually adapt, and it isn't as bad for them as it might be for you or me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the genetics of everything. They've seen, the physical factors of growing up. They've had people who are incredibly active that play, track and field in high school to do shop.
Right.
These guys just grow into these bulky athletes. And then the people that do long distance running through high school, they tend to be the skinnier, small joints, narrow shoulders that are designed to run distance. And, they've done studies with twin brothers, and the difference in their physiques, you're like, there's no way they're twins, because they did two completely opposite ends of the spectrum as far as training, and their bodies developed.
Right.
So, genetically, they're pretty much the exact.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I grew up around sports, and it's true. Like, people who play volleyball tend to be tall and lean, and like baseball or softball players are a little huskier and a little more solidly built. It's kind of interesting how what sport you choose, even what activity you do on a regular basis, kind of shapes your body, so to speak. It is kind of interesting. So tell me, what do you do? Like, I get a lot of people telling me, I just don't have the motivation to go train. So what is it that you do when you don't feel like training, but you should?
I don't.
You just don't train? Just take the day off?
I honestly, it's hit and miss, because there's some days where I know I don't have it in me, and I'm not going to go and beat myself up and just feel worse, and and kill whatever motivation or little motivation I have. Especially with covering, I notice I hate using the word, because again, but I'll notice when I overtrain, sugar goes up fast as I feel miserable, and I have to take a couple days off. But when I'm really, as dark as it sounds, when I'm really, really needing that motivation, I car accident, because it was, it really came down to, I was the only person that helped. I sat there and watched people just stare at me and walk past me and look at me like I was dumb, because they thought I had caused this car accident. Nobody tried to help me out of my car. My car was on fire, and I had to, pull myself out. I had to get myself up. I had to get out to safety. I had to go out and find somebody to, call my wife and things like that. It all came down to me, and it was, even doctors told me, if it weren't for the fact that I trained regularly and had worked out so much, I probably wouldn't have been able to get out of the car. So I realized when life really wants to give you the middle finger, it comes down to what you have. And, it's kind of like, I need to go do this, because if something happens again, I need to be as strong as I can be, as fit as I can be, to take care of myself, because I can't, obviously I can't rely on random strangers to take care of me. And it's morbid, but it gets me through my session. My worst times, it's been me having to do it. So I need to make sure I'm prepared.
Well, tell me about that accident. I mean, you just said people were kind of staring at you like you were the cause of the accident. No one wanted to help. You said that your training helped you get out, but like, what was going through your head? Like, how did you motivate yourself to pull yourself out of there?
It was pretty much my wife. I remember, it's funny because I remember the entirety of the accident. I remember, from the moments, a couple seconds before to, I can remember what it felt like when I was first hit, when my head hit the steering wheel, all that, when I opened my eyes and saw you know, the whole left side of my car was just completely screwed up, and my only thought was I needed to get out because somebody needed me. You know, that was my thing, is I can't afford to die here. You know, I got someone that needs me around. Um, you know, that motivation is kind of what got me out of the car. It wasn't like a panic of, oh my gosh, and freak out. It was just like, nope, can't be in here right now. Got to get out. Got to find someone to call her, let her know I'm okay. You know, got to be around. And that got me up and out.
Well, it kind of goes to show that what people say about having a reason why you're doing what you're doing, it's essential everywhere. Like even, you know, you get into an accident, something that I guarantee you never planned for, and yet you were able to immediately take action to help yourself because you A, saw no one else was going to do it, and B, you had somebody depending upon you, so you pushed yourself to do something maybe you wouldn't have done otherwise. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see the circumstances being different if there wasn't other people relying on me. I don't know where I would have been.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. So how has that accident changed your approach towards fitness?
It's done a couple things, because I never really looked at the small stuff. You know, I'd always see, you know, people would talk about the little things to make everything better overall, and I would ignore some of it. I'd do some of it, you know, half-heartedly. And you know, after my accident, it was just I couldn't do what I normally did. I had horrible damage to my my left hip and SI joint, and you know, I had a pelvic upslip that was about 2 inches, but then my left leg had rotated inward, which made up for the 2 inches. So I didn't walk with like a limp, but my whole body was completely out of whack. So, you know, I was forced to really take a step back. I had a torn MCL, and you know, it wasn't bad enough to do surgery, but for about a month and a half, 2 months, I couldn't bend it fully. So I had to learn how to, you know, strengthen my hamstrings, strengthen my glutes, strengthen my hip, my core. You know, a lot of my training focus went to basically what most people will just kind of do in pass. They'll hit their hips and their glutes squatting. If they're lucky, a lot of people don't even, you know, have glute activation when they squat. You know, guys want to hit abs all day, every day to show them off, but I'm doing, you know, more work for the deeper core muscles, the ones you don't get to see, but I'm still doing them, you know, frequently, because I know I'm going to need these muscles if I want to continue walking or continue, you know, training or anything like that. And, you know, I don't want to say it did more harm than good, but, you know, I discovered a lot of what I was doing helped, but it was just kind of a Band-Aid on the situation, because I had enough scarring and swelling that basically my glutes and my hamstrings didn't fire, and my lower back and quads took over everything that I did. So, you know, it just kind of, it was the only reason I was able to walk without a cane, until I started physical therapy. And then they just looked at me and said, you were completely screwed up, and this is going to be a fun time. So, you know, it was a good learning experience, and my PT is awesome. You know, and she knows I'm fairly well versed in training in the body, so she doesn't kind of water things down to explain them to me. She can get into the science behind it, and, you know, I understand it. And if I have a concern, or if I have an idea of what's going on or what's causing the problem, she'll actually look into it and realize, oh, hey, you know, you're right. This is what's going on. Let's work on it. Versus, you know, I just kind of go in and say, oh, doc, this hurts. I don't know why. It's like, this hurts. I think this is why. And, you know, she takes a look and says, yeah, you're exactly right. Let's get this fixed. And, you know, then we keep progressing forward with it. But it's not as fast as I'd like, but hey, you know, I'm still progressing.
Well, do you think, when you were talking about that, it made me think about this. Do you think that having the knowledge that you had prior to the accident has been a bigger benefit to you during your physical therapy?
Definitely. You know, I think it, you know, like I said, I mean, it kind of served as a Band-Aid, but conversely, had I not been doing that, I would have, you know, I would have been in a much worse place if I had just been sitting around because I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what muscles needed to be strengthened and involved. I would have started my physical therapy. You know, I think I started from my low back after my concussion therapy. It was about 5 months. So I would have spent 5 months not really doing much, which would have just atrophied everything and made it 100 times worse. So when I actually got into my, you know, my therapy for my back, I had strength. I had some muscular hypertrophy to, you know, basically just have there. And I was able to, you know, progress a lot faster. What most people would be doing for a month, I was doing week and a half, 2 weeks before I progressed. So a lot of my movements, it was, okay, now we need to change. You've already kind of maxed out on what you can do with this. And if it weren't for the fact that I knew what to do in the beginning, I would have, I'd probably be looking at a good 2.5 years of therapy versus like the year and a half I'm most likely looking at now.
Right, right. It makes sense. I mean, I think I tell this to people all the time. Like, one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for just, you know, bodybuilding competitors in general is how much they know their body. It's no miracle that they can go in like a 12-week period from being completely fat and out of shape to shredded. It's because they listen to their body and they know exactly what to do and when. I mean, there's a story, a guy that I know who was going for his pro card, and he was taking advice from one person and one person only the whole time, which is something they say you should do when you're trying to compete. That way you're staying consistent. And right before the judging, he had like a lot of dry mouth, and someone gave him a piece of gum. And it was sugar free, and it was sugar free gum. Well, the xylitol that was inside of the gum started retaining water, and well, you can figure out what happened after that. And it's something that he kicks himself for to this day, because he said he knew putting that gum in his mouth that he shouldn't be putting that gum in his mouth. But he let the need to get rid of that dry mouth overtake the knowledge he had in his head. So kind of cost him his pro card that day.
And see, that's the sad thing. Yeah, that's the sad thing, is people will pay thousands of dollars, and you see it online all the time. You go on forum and you see it all the time. Hey guys, my coach put me on this, but I'm not losing weight fast enough. Do you think I should do this? You're paying a guy like $3,000, $4,000 for the contest prep. If you're going to go on an online forum of people who knows what they look like, who knows what they actually know, and you're going to ask them for advice when you could just email your coach and say, hey, dude, like, I kind of feel like this is, you know, too many calories because I'm not losing weight. Like, oh, okay, let's tweak it. Or no, just stick with it, because you got to wait, you know, 2-3 weeks for that glycogen that you have to, you know, go away, and then you'll start seeing the results. And, you know, or my favorite, when I was younger, I worked at a gym, and of course, I did graveyard, so a lot of people would come to me because there was no trainers, you know, on the clock at that time. And, hey, what should I do? Hey, how should I do this? Hey, do you have any advice? And a lot of people, I would give them advice, and they would get great results, you know. And it was always like, oh, I just want to tone up, look good for the club, yada, yada. Well, they would start seeing results pretty quickly. They would start making strength gains pretty quickly. They'd be super stoked. And then it's, oh, well, my friend said I need to do this. So then they would go off with a friend, and I'd see them 6 months later, and they would have, you know, they'd have reverted back to their old self, but they'd be even in a worse position because they, you know, whether they injured themselves or they just got discouraged and said, you know, screw it, I'm this isn't for me because clearly my body's genetics don't like it or whatever. And it's like, well, if you just stuck with me in the first place, we could have been, you know, kept progressing, but you wanted to go listen to your buddy who said, oh, well, you should just do this instead. Like, I'm the one that sees you work out every day. I'm the one that sees what you can and can't do. Your friend you see at the club on the weekends, who do you think got a better eye for, you know, you making progress? Or who's got a better eye for what works for you? And, you know, a lot of people, they just want, you know, they want to find someone that will validate their own opinion. They don't actually want the help.
Right. I agree with you.
Hey, this is how I should do it. Well, no, this $3,000 a month coach tells you to do it this way. Well, I think I should do it this way. So I'm going to go on forums until I find someone that agrees with me, so that I do that as, you know, as somehow justifying throwing away thousands of dollars on doing my own thing and completely screwing up, and then blaming coach because I didn't listen to what he said.
Right.
Like, well, you're an idiot. I mean, that's a nice way to put it.
All right. Well, we're kind of running out of time, so I wanted to ask you to tell the listeners, you know, just what would your number one piece of advice be to someone who has been kind of sedentary and now they're trying to get healthier? I'm not even going to say get into shape. I kind of hate that term. But they just want to get healthier and live a better life.
Baby steps. That's really it. I mean, a baby, you know, think of a baby. They learn to crawl, and they learn to stand and fall over, and then they learn to walk, and they learn to run. You know, too many people, they want to come in on their New Year's resolution and do, you know, an hour of cardio every day and an hour of weights and be perfectly healthy. Well, just start by going to the gym and just walk on a treadmill for 20 minutes 3 times a week. And then bump that up to 30 minutes 3 times a week. And then add weights in, you know, then add, you know, instead of cutting all your bad foods out and just going full bore, cut soda, then cut, you know, fruit juice, and then cut fast food, you know, 1 meal a week of fast food or 2 meals a week of fast food, whatever. Just make that slow progress, because it'll give you the confidence as you continue to succeed, as you start doing your 3 sessions a week, and then all of a sudden you bump it up to 4. It's, oh yeah, I did it. Cool. You know, you give up soda. All right, I managed to quit soda. Cool. I'm more confident. I give up, you know, I can give up McDonald's once a week. Yes, I did this. Okay, I can give it up 3 times a week. Yes, I did it. Okay, I can give it up altogether. Yes, I did it. And build that confidence just through the baby steps. You know, you're going to mess up, so you mess up. Just keep moving forward. You know, don't let it destroy you. Don't say, oh, well, I ate bad food this week. My whole diet's ruined. Say, okay, I ate a bad meal. I'm just going to continue exactly what I had planned. I'm not going to go on some crash diet for a day to make up for it or do 10 extra hours of cardio. I'm just going to, like a baby, I'm going to keep moving forward until I know how to walk.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It's actually my absolute favorite tip to give to people who come to me and ask that same question. So we're definitely in agreement. I think it's because, you know, I once had a lady call me and say she wanted to lose 100 pounds. And I said, well, that's great. You know, I'm glad you want to lose 100 pounds. What's your goal for that? Well, I want to lose it by my birthday. Well, of course, the obvious next question is, when is your birthday? And we were talking in November, and her birthday was in February. And I basically told her, you know, that's an unrealistic goal. You want to break that goal way, 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 way down into smaller pieces, because you can only imagine how long it would take to lose 100 pounds. So if that's your ultimate goal, great. But how about we put some other little goals in there, and you have some lifestyle change goals, and you make little tiny steps forward. And yeah, you're right. You're gonna sometimes you're gonna take 3 steps forward and go 4 back. Sometimes you're going to take 3 steps forward and only go 1 back, but you're going in the direction you need to go. And it's so much easier if you don't try to bite off this huge bite. You just start taking smaller bites. They say that's one of the time management things. You know, how do you if your things to do are a frog, how do you eat the frog? Well, one bite at a time. You don't stuff the whole frog in your mouth. So that's great advice. I really appreciate that. I think people need to learn that and maybe write it on a piece of paper and put it up on their mirror in their bathroom. That just keep taking baby steps and you'll get there.
Yep. Like I remember when I was a little younger, the phrase everyone said was just keep swimming. That's all you can do. I mean, you can't make it go away any quicker. You can't lose the weight any faster. You can't make your dream body appear overnight. And some people's dream bodies, they don't, they expect it to be an overnight thing, but they don't realize that it's, months and months and months, or depending on where you're at, it could be a year or two. It's not as simple as I ate healthy once. I ate my piece of lettuce. Where's my abs? I ate my lettuce for 12 weeks and did all my cardio and weightlifting perfectly. And maybe I have abs because I wasn't too bad to start.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with me today. We're kind of running out of time, so I'm going to end this here, but I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to add before we close out?
Yeah, one thing I've always kind of run into is you get a lot of parents that they want to make the excuses of getting fit because they have kids, they're busy, whatnot. And I've seen some pretty bad off parents health-wise. And, if you're a parent looking, thinking you can't go to the gym, you can't get in shape because you have kids to take care of, you need to do this, you need to do that. Yeah, it's nice to see your children when they're young and they're growing up. But when they're 3 and 4, they're not going to remember a whole lot of that. They're going to remember it when they're 16, 17, 18, 19. They're going to remember you walking them down the aisle when they get married. So it's best to do it for them than to try to use them as the excuse, because would you rather see your grandkids and be able to play with them? Or would you rather be gone before grandkids is even a thought in your children's eyes, or your children's mind?
That's a great point. And with that, I think we'll end it here. But that's great advice, and keep up the progress with your physical therapy. I'm sure that it's not as fast as you want, but in the end, it's just like the advice you just gave. It's baby steps. You'll get there, and you'll be better off because of it. So that's all for today, guys. So thanks again. Thanks, Collin, for being on the show, and we look forward to talking to you again really soon.
I hope you all learned as much from Collin as I did. Now for the tip of the show. When trying to lose weight, the most important variable is what you eat. No amount of hard work in the gym will enable you to outwork a bad diet. It is important to maintain a balanced diet that is rich in fruits, vegetables, complex carbohydrates, and complete proteins, along with healthy fats. Be consistent with this eating approach and you will see some amazing results. And that was the tip of the show. There is so much misinformation in the fitness industry that it amazes me anyone can navigate through all the information and find what they need. As a means of helping you with that, I've created the no baloney moment. People will have you think that to lose weight, you should be doing a load of cardio. The fact is that cardio is just one tool in your tool belt, and like all tools, it needs to be used correctly. When adding cardio to your routine, be sure to start out with a low number of minutes so that you can adjust it later. If you start out doing an hour of cardio at every session, you have no place to adjust later when you hit that eventual plateau. If instead you start out with 20 minutes each session and you track your progress, you can always add 5 minutes to your cardio session. You will begin seeing results again. The next time you hit a plateau, simply add a little more time to your cardio session. It works like a charm. This was another no baloney moment. You can listen to the entire collection on YouTube by going to fitnessexpose.com/TV. Hey, this is Mike. I sure hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing in iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, or by going to fitnessexpose.com/podcast.
Thanks for listening to Fitness Freedom, helping you break through your personal prison in your body and mind. You can find Mike's ebook on 5 steps to getting into the best shape of your life at fitnessexpose.com/podcast. Go there right now for your free gift of 5 steps to getting into the best shape of your life. Feel free to reach out to Mike directly on Facebook or Twitter. Go to fitnessexpose.com/Twitter and his Facebook, fitnessexpose.com/Facebook. Until next time, create your freedom through fitness.